Hi there, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Health, Seniors, Human Services, Youth Education, and Human Rights Committee meeting of Manhattan Community Board 3. This is our monthly meeting, and today is Thursday. Before I talk about the agenda, I will hand it over to Larissa, who will explain the rules of the meeting.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Bear with me 1 second while I exit full screen. Pull up my instructions. Okay, good evening and welcome to Community Board 3, Health and Human Services Community Meeting. Bear with me. There is not. Right. At this time, we welcome all. So first of all, I would like to remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded. This time we invite all non-board members to sign in with your name and affiliation into the chat box. And our chat this evening will only be used for sign-in, materials distribution, and technical assistance. If you have any technical issues, please reach out via chat and a facilitator will reach out to assist you. In order to reduce background noise, we ask that you remain muted unless you are recognized to speak. So, thank you for joining. Go ahead, Nick. Sorry, a lot of people popping in for the last minute.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so, well, we only have one main agenda item today, but before we start that, we are going to take the roll call and also at the same time approve the, vote to approve the minutes of the last meeting. So all you board members, all you committee members will have received that already by email. And first of all, I do want to know if there are any changes to the minutes that you wish to make right now. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I do not see any hands raised, so that tells me that the minutes are okay as they are. So Heidi, can you take the minutes? I mean, take the attendance.
Yes. Okay. So Mei Lee.
Yes, here.
Thomas Rosa.
Yes, present.
Larissa.
Present.
David Crane. David.
Oh, he's muted.
Present.
Okay. Eric Diaz.
Present.
Shirley Fennessy. Deborah Glass.
Oh, she's going to be absent.
Okay.
She emailed, said she was not planning to, she could not come today.
Okay. Laura Lugo.
Present.
Paul Rangel.
I'm present, but am I supposed to be part of this count anymore?
No, we should take you off. Should take Paul off.
Me, Heidi Schmidt, present. Ricky Wong.
He is also going to be absent. He said he was not able to come today.
Carmen Perez. Okay. And May, I'm taking off Tatiana, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you. So thank you, Heidi. This is her first time taking the minutes and she's doing a great job. Okay.
Can you add me?
You haven't been appointed.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's gonna
Oh, who
happen
was that?
after. I won't appoint her until after the meeting, officially, to
Thank
replace me. All right.
Okay, great. So our main agenda item is a presentation regarding another safe haven facility to come our way to 47 Madison Street. And we have presenters from Catholic Homes and also possibly and DHS, the Department of Homeless Services. Is there anyone else presenting as well?
No, that's just us. Yeah, Catholic Charities and Catholic Homes.
Okay, so you may start. I guess you if you wish, I guess Larissa has arranged with you about showing a slideshow.
No,
Yeah,
you
I can
need-
do that. But I wanted to see if
I
Aaron or
need to
Dilana
make
wanted
you-
Yeah.
to say a few
I'm
words.
gonna-
Okay.
I'm
Right,
gonna
so yeah,
kick
so
us
you guys just
off.
go ahead, yeah, you guys just
Yeah,
go
I'll-
ahead, however you want to kick off.
Perfect. Thank you, May. So we were here a couple of weeks ago and gave some top line information about the Mayor's Turning the Tide plan. I know that we have more participants than we did that evening, so I'm just going to give a quick overview and then drill down into the specifics about our work on street homelessness. So in 2017, the mayor issued a comprehensive plan to address homelessness in New York City. It contains 4 pillars: prevention, rehousing, focused on our street homeless population, and then transforming the shelter system. And we're making, progress on each of those metrics. The first, in prevention, we recognize that the most important thing that we can do is really prevent people from, entering into the experience of homelessness to begin with. Making sure that if an individual has rent arrears, that those rent arrears are being paid, utility arrears being paid. That if an individual is in housing court, that we are able to connect them to free legal services for full or brief legal representation in housing court. And through those initiatives, we've helped hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers. When this administration started, we were investing about $6 million in legal services. We're now investing $166 million, and we've served 500,000 New Yorkers through our Office of Civil Justice. As it relates to rent arrears, we've more than doubled our payments of rent arrears, helping over 260,000 New Yorkers with rent arrears or utility arrears payments, again, doing what we can to ensure folks are staying in their home. Similarly, we've increased the number of home-based offices. Home-based offices are community-based organizations who are located in communities across New York City who work to connect individuals to programs and services to work to stabilize the instability that they might be facing as it relates to housing or benefits access. When we started, there were 14 such locations. Now there are 26. Moving to the rehousing work, what we know is that by providing rental assistance and pathways to rehousing, we can both reduce the shelter census, as well as avoid entry into shelter. Through our rental assistance and rehousing programs, we've helped more than 175,000 New Yorkers avoid entry into shelter or move out of shelter. The vast majority of individuals moving out of shelter. This administration has also made the single largest commitment to supportive housing, recognizing that supportive housing is a critical tool in helping individuals experiencing homelessness and plays a particular role in helping individuals who've experienced homelessness on the street in transitioning to permanent housing that has on-site social service supports. I'm going to jump and save the streets piece for last, so it'll transition nicely into the project we're talking about tonight. The 4th pillar is to transform the shelter system. We've reduced the DHS shelter footprint by more than 45% by closing facilities that did not meet our standards. These included clusters. At the high point, we were using over 3,600 private market rate apartments as shelters. These locations did not offer great opportunities for social services, but also removed those units from the affordable housing stock and instead were being used as shelters. As of the end of October, we are out of clusters. And this is was a 21-year-old program that was really used as a stopgap as the agency, worked to meet its right to shelter mandate. We've also made a commitment to get out of commercial hotels. We're on target to have all families with children out of commercial hotels by the end of the year. And then we'll continue that progress in getting the single adult population out of hotels by the end of 2023. Then we've also made the commitment to site 90 new shelters. We have announced 99 part of that is replacement capacity for shelters that, you know, have sort of reached their useful life. And 48 of those locations are already open. The delta between those announced, those open, really has to do with the fact that many of the locations that we are opening are ground up development or requires, you know, gut rehabs of building, and the development timeline is just longer. But what this means for clients is that instead of shoehorning a program into a building, we're really being intentional and thoughtful about the design of the shelter, making sure that there's appropriate on-site social services space, that we're thinking about passive recreation space, and again, really designing the building for the intended use of a shelter, as opposed to sort of using what's available and shoehorning a program into that. The third pillar is working to address street homelessness, and will get us into the crux of why we're here tonight. So in New York, the last Hope count, there are about 2,300 New Yorkers who are experiencing homelessness on the street. We as an agency submit quarterly reports about our work as it relates to our street homeless population. These are available on our website, and talks about the work quarter over quarter in terms of the engagements that the teams are doing to establish relationships with individuals who are experiencing homelessness on the street, to really learn about, you know, are they simply panhandling, or do they in fact not have a place to go and are bedding down at night. Part of the tools that our teams use to bring people inside are what we refer to at the agency as low threshold models. This includes safe havens, which 47 Madison will be, as well as stabilization beds. These low threshold models really work to meet clients where they're at. They are environments that have service-rich on-site services, and we'll let the team tonight really talk about what their program will be. It also has a lower threshold in terms of coming inside, things like a curfew, recognizing that for an individual who has spent a period of time on the street, coming inside could be an incredibly big step, and the more barriers in place, potentially the least likely they will be successful at the transition back to permanent housing and independent living. We have brought on a significant number of resources over the course of this administration to work with the street homeless population in New York City. At the start of the administration, we had about 200 outreach workers. We now have about 600. We use what's called a by name list. So in real time, our outreach workers are able to enter information about clients that they're working with, but also it means that, you know, over changes of shift, or if an individual moves about the city, we're able to continue to work with them and have access, our teams are able to access the information about prior engagements, really addressing the continuum of care for that client. We've also made a significant investment in bringing on additional safe haven and stabilization beds, recognizing the particular role that this resource plays with bringing people inside off the streets. When this administration started, there were about 600 of these beds. And now we have, we're bringing on 3,000 in total. And these beds will contribute to that 3,000 number. These are beds that are best utilized and allocated where they are close to the locations where individuals are bedding down. What our teams know is that when somebody says yes to wanting to come inside, we want to make sure that that resource is available to them. And oftentimes what happens due to capacity issues is that we might have a bed available for an individual, but that bed is not in the community that the individual is bedding down in, the individual has connections to, they might be connected to social services in the neighborhood, or simply just familiarity with the neighborhood and not wishing to leave it because they feel comfortable. So proximity and neighborhood is incredibly important when we're citing the safe haven and stabilization beds. And with that, I will turn it over. Let me just say one more thing. So clients wouldn't just, go to this location and knock on the door and say, can I have a bed here? That placement happens through our outreach workers, through the Manhattan Outreach Consortium and the providers that make up that consortium to do direct referrals to the location. And with that, I'll turn it over. I don't know if it's Susan who's presenting, but I'll turn it over to the team.
Thanks, Erin.
Happy to answer any questions at the end.
Sure, and I'm
sorry,
gonna, go ahead.
just before you start, I just wanted to, I think the committee probably remembers that, but for those of you who haven't been through our very long district needs and budget priority meetings, in our district needs, we especially this year, and I think the street homelessness, the whole, it just like was exacerbated in the during the pandemic. But we also, as Erin was saying, many of the street homeless, they don't want to go to a shelter, maybe because it's not close to them, or it's perceived as dangerous, so they'd rather stay outside. So, but the safe haven is a different type of facility, and more would be willing to, get help if there were such a safe haven, and there aren't that many down here. So actually, in our budget priorities, it is one of the top quarter. We asked for more money for safe havens to be put into the budget, which is sort of a backhanded way of saying that we want it for our community here. So, so that's just a little, more information or reminder. That's all I had to say.
Thanks, May. So again, my name is Susan Albrecht. I'm going to introduce our team that's here tonight. I'm with Catholic Homes New York, which is the housing office of Catholic Charities in the Archdiocese. And joining me is my associate, Drew Kyriazides.
Good evening.
Say hi.
Hi.
Harold Moss, who is the director of Beacon of Hope, that will be the operator. It's an affiliate of Catholic Charities. I see that Father Wong has joined us from Transfiguration. The site is owned by Transfiguration. We also have, joining us by phone is Jeffrey Chen, who's one of our caseworkers down at the Grand Street Guild. So I'm going to share my screen, and then Katie Devine is helping us out with the financing. I'm going to share my screen right now. Let me know if you can see it. Wait a minute, let me just see here. You can see it, right? Okay. So we have two parts to this agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about the site and the plan for the site in the first half, and then Harold is going to come in and talk about the social services. So, just building on what May just said, we want to commend Community Board 3 for recognizing the need for safe haven shelters. And as affordable and supportive housing providers, we know the critical importance of the safe haven model for helping people to move off the streets, to get their initial housing, move along the continuum of housing. So what we see here is, this is a rendering, again, a conceptual rendering to give you an idea.
Susan, we don't see that. We don't see that rendering.
Oh, sorry. Oh, shoot. Too bad. Let me try it again here. Do you see it now? No. Wait a minute. Let me just see here. Oh, I have to. So, what do you see? Do you see it?
You see the crystal clear.
It's crystal clear. If you have two screens, you may have selected the wrong screen.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, let me go back here. I'm gonna. Sorry about that. Still learning a little bit about this. No, that's not right. All right, hold on here. Escape. I'm gonna unshare for a second here and try to get this right. Sorry about that, guys. All right. See if this works. Let me just see here. Oh, do you see it here? Oh, wait a minute. Is that working? Is that working?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hopefully I'll be able to page through. All right, so this is a again, a conceptual rendering of the building, 6 stories tall, and where it's located mid-block at 47 Madison Street. And you can see that now the page did turn, right? Okay, so just in terms of our team, the social service provider is Catholic Charities Community Services Beacon of Hope program that we're from. We're the developer, Catholic Homes New York. Our architect is ESKW Architects, that has a lot of extensive experience in designing safe haven shelters and all the regulations. And again, our financial consultant, Katie Devine from Rockabell Consulting. And just a little bit about Catholic Homes New York. We're an affordable and supportive housing provider, and our mission is to provide safe, affordable housing for families, seniors, and people with special needs based on our belief that having a home is a sacred human right. So we have in our portfolio 14 large projects with over 2,900 units of affordable housing. And these are just 3 examples of 2 recently completed. The one on the left here is located at West Farms in the Bronx, 319 units with 40 of those tenants, affordable apartments. 40 of those tenants are formerly homeless. The one in the middle is at St. Augustine on the site of the former St. Augustine Church, 112 units with 35 individuals with serious mental illness that live there and supported by Beacon of Hope, very similar in some ways to some of the people we're going to be serving at the Safe Haven. And then the one on the right is one that you may have seen. This is the Grand Street Guild, located at Clinton Broome, which is in Community Board 3. That is a new project with 200 new units of affordable housing. Again, 15% of them will be formerly homeless. And again, we're looking to start construction on that next year. So I'm going to ask Drew just to kind of walk us through some of the overview of the project. Drew, you want to go ahead?
Sure. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the existing building on it right now. It's 2 stories. It will be taken down over the summer, and a new building would be going to its place. Like Susan mentioned, 13,000 square feet. It will have beds for 49 individuals in a mix of rooms. You know, we have some rooms with 3 beds, some room with 2 beds, and we have some rooms that are with single beds. And it's also as well as a distribution of men and women. 2/3 of the 49 beds are for men, and 1/3 for women, and they'll be on different floors. The facility itself will have laundry room. We'll have and I'll show you the floor plans in a little bit. So I may go into detail when we show the floor plans.
Let me go to that slide. Okay. All right. This is the site.
That's the site. Actually, this existing building right across from Smith Houses.
Okay. This is the floor.
And what we're looking at now is the ground floor plan. Madison Street is on the far right. You enter a vestibule, and is a 24-hour security right in the lobby, as well as just to the left. There's a bathroom. So for new clients to come in who need a shower, that is an important step. The rest of the first floor, besides the elevator and the stairs, you'll have social service offices. This is one of 3 offices in the facility. And just past the offices, you have a dining room and then a kitchen area. The kitchen area is cooking is not being done there. It's food's being brought from off-site to be warmed up there. And if we go up, this is a typical floor, floors 3 through 6. And as I mentioned earlier, there's rooms that have a mix of 1 bed, 2 beds, 3 clients. And then as you can see here too, there's bathrooms on each floor that's separate from the rooms. The second floor is a mix of bedrooms for the clients, and that's on the far right of the bedrooms. And then in the center area, there's more social services offices, as well as we have offices down in the cellar as well. And then there's a recreation room that leads to an outdoor space, and that's that kind of that thatched rectangular design. That's an outdoor space that's 1 floor high, 1 floor up, and that is a key thing. So the clients can use that space. And let's go to the next slide. You'll see that outdoor space from a different view that's looking at the back of the building. It's kind of covered patio there, and then
Okay, great. Thanks, Drew.
Sure.
So now I'm going to ask Carol to talk a little bit about the program and who Beacon of Hope is.
Sure. Thanks, Susan and Drew. Good evening, all. I'm here to talk about Catholic Charities Community Services and Beacon of Hope and the work we do and how the Madison Street Safe Haven will be an important addition to it. So some of you may or may not be familiar with our agency. We have been in operation for 80 years. And we consist of 5 different divisions. Some of those divisions are often in the media seems like on a daily basis, particularly this time of year. One of our divisions is our Community Outreach Services division, which focuses on food insecurity, eviction prevention services, which are, of course, in today's world, very important services that are being provided by our staff. We also have an immigration division that offers services to individuals who are undocumented and other related needs. The Beacon of Hope division is one that has been in operation for about 40 years or so. And we operate 496 units of housing along a continuum of care, from the most supportive and restrictive environment to the least restrictive environment, which promotes the greatest of independence. Our goal, of course, is to help individuals who've had long histories of homelessness, long-term psychiatric hospitalizations, as well as acute psychiatric hospitalizations, and support their recovery. Their recovery comes in many different forms, and that's where our rehabilitative services come in, from substance use services to case management services. We operate programs in Brooklyn, in Staten Island, and in the Bronx. We operate on the grounds of state psychiatric centers, and we rent up apartments in the community on quiet blocks in Staten Island and the Bronx. So we have extensive experience not only serving this population, but also being good neighbors in the community, where sometimes it is hard for our folks to fit in. Next slide, please. So I believe Erin touched on this a bit in her presentation, who will live in the Madison Street Safe Haven. We will take referrals from the outreach teams that are making contact with individuals who are living on the street. Ideally, a lot of those referrals come from individuals who are living in Community Board 3, so that there'll be a noticeable difference when community members walk the streets. But of course, we'll be open to taking homeless individuals who've been living on the streets for extensive period of time, who've been brought into us from all of DHS's outreach teams. The individuals who will be coming to us may not have lived in an environment such as the Safe Haven for an extended period of time. So we hope to be able to offer them a very safe environment where they'll be able to focus on their recovery. Next slide, please. What services? How are we going to help them focus on their recovery? Well, wide range of services. On site, we will have an exam room for which we will provide primary healthcare services and behavioral health services. Individuals who need, for example, medication, particularly if they need a psychotropic injection, will receive it on site, because we will bring in subcontract with medical providers that serve other shelters and providers such as Madison Street. We'll also coordinate and connect individuals to services throughout Manhattan and those that are offered more locally. Our job is to be advocates for our residents. Our job is to support them 24 hours a day and offer them counseling and offer them referrals. Our goal is to integrate them into the community with the long-term goal of ensuring they are referred to long-term stable housing. Sometimes that may be another level of transitional housing. Ideally, it'll be permanent housing. You'll note that one of the things we are very sensitive to is making sure that the residents who come to live in the Madison Street Safe Haven receive services in a language that they are comfortable speaking. So we will try to hire staff who are bilingual, whether that be individuals who speak English and Spanish, or perhaps Cantonese or Mandarin, or some other language if we see that the population has a preference to communicate in another language. Our goal is to also make help our staff become more culturally sensitive. So we will look to the community to bring in folks who can help our staff as well as our residents understand what are the needs of the community and what is the need for the needs of the local culture. And also noted on the slide is whenever needed, we'll make translation services available. Thanks. Next slide. This is a list of many of the services that we'll provide on site, and where we can't provide them on site, or if the individual has a preference to receive them off site, we'll make referrals. You'll notice that we will be focusing on entitlements, individuals' health, any connections they may have to the legal system where there is a court case that needs to be resolved. We'll try to help them with money management skills, as well as try to set them on a solid path to recovery by finding out what their interests are and referring them to educational programs or vocational programs whenever that's possible. Next slide, please. So one of the questions that is always on everyone's mind when providers want to develop a site, and that is, how will we be good neighbors? So because we have extensive experience in the Bronx, Staten Island, and Brooklyn, not just operating offices, but operating buildings and also renting apartments in the community, we're very sensitive to this issue. Our daily goal, 24 hours a day, is to ensure we're good neighbors. Part of the design of this building was to ensure that we have a private space that we can offer our residents outdoors that is on our grounds, so that individuals do not congregate in front of our building and or walk up and down the street. So to that end, we will staff our building 24/7, and this will not be a skeletal crew. We will have 3 or 4 people on duty 24 hours a day, and that will allow us to watch not just what's going on inside the building, but what is going on our terrace out back, as well as what's going on in the front of the building. We will want our staff to walk up and down the block, go to the corners, look around, look across the street to make sure none of our residents are on the streets, and or any individuals who may be looking for them, who want to communicate with them, are hanging out nearby. So that is one of our primary goals for our operations. We'll also have administrators on call 24/7, meaning that the staff who are working in the safe haven are not in it alone. We will be one phone call away to provide whatever guidance we can, as well as be a presence if needed. We will work with our residents and our staff to understand what we want to be good neighbors, and to do that, we have to respect the community we live in. So we will have ongoing community meetings. And what I mean by community meeting is we'll have a community meeting for our residents, and then we will have additional meetings that allow that invite the local community in to have a conversation with our staff as well as our residents about how things are going. We'll create a community advisory board, so that board can advise us on what's needed in the community, and of course, if anything that's happening that we should be aware of or sensitive to, any observations about our residents, so that we have that feedback and work with our resident if needed to correct something that is happening. So part of also being good neighbor is embracing the neighborhood, and a part of that will be socialization. We'll encourage our residents to visit local shopkeepers, to interact, communicate, buy their goods and services, which is something we'll want our residents to learn long-term, so that wherever they end up, they can also be good neighbors. And again, we can't stress enough how important a community partnership is here, by having the residents understanding their role. And it's not just the residents, it's our staff as well. We'll need to know what to be on the lookout for, how to be responsive if someone from the neighborhood calls our building and has a concern, how to hear that concern, how to respond to it, how to pass it on to administrators so that we can respond. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Harold. So in terms of the project status, then we've been working on some site studies, as you saw, and financing. We're looking to see if we can get an operating contract executed with the Department of Homeless Services in the winter, right after the new year, and submitting drawings to Department of Buildings, with the construction closing anticipated for this next summer. And again, that will, we're looking at a 24-month build. So occupancy would be in summer of 2024. So that concludes our presentation. I wanted to see, I know that when I was on, a couple people asked to be admitted. I hope that's okay. I admitted them. And they were, I know that Father Ron and Paulina Cheng are here from Transfiguration. And Jeffrey Chen is with our Grand Street. So I don't know if any of you want to say anything further, or we want to welcome questions at this point. Okay, I don't see them. I know that a lot of people are accessing this remotely. So I think
Oh, I'm
that
sorry. Let me just interrupt for a minute. So
Okay, sure.
Larissa, could you just watch the waiting room and admit people so that
Sorry about
others
that.
don't have to
That's okay.
do double duty?
No,
I think
they
I
are
was
being
sharing.
admitted.
Oh,
They
okay,
are.
good.
I am. Yes, I was watching, and I was. And thank you, Susan, because I was a little perplexed that when I went to click them,
I
they
hope
were
that's
already
okay. I
in.
wasn't sure if I was supposed to do it. Okay.
I
But
think
thank
there are
you
3 of us
for the
admitting
assist.
them.
Yeah. We really got it. Ladies, we're on the ball.
It's when we make you co-host to share screen, it
Yeah.
starts showing you, but
That's
they
what I
are
thought,
being,
yeah.
they are being admitted.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, so I think at this point, we welcome any questions that you have.
Okay, so sorry. Okay, so I'm going to take questions, and you should raise your virtual hand. If it's not possible, then you should just wave your hand in the screen. I will take committee members first, and others will also have an opportunity to ask questions. So the first hand I see is from Eric Diaz.
Hi, yes, thank you. Miss Albert,
Eric, you're crazy low.
second. Can you guys hear me better? Yes, no?
Little
Still pretty
bit.
low, yeah.
Goodness gracious. How about now? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right, my question is regarding the community advisory board of that site. Is that something that is unique to that development, or is that sort of a standard practice across the other sites that you have historically provided the haven beds at?
Harold, do you want to answer that? Did you hear the question was, yeah.
It's a DHS question, I think.
Yeah, I'll do my best. It's in regards to cabs, I believe. So DHS made the commitment under Turning the Tide to have cabs at all of our Turning the Tide shelters. Shelters that were open prior to Turning the Tide, some of them have cabs, some of them don't, in part because cabs would meet regularly, and then as the shelter sort of became ingrained in the neighborhood, there wasn't a need and there were established lines of communication. The plan here is to have a cab, and to work with the community in terms of determining what the right cadence is. Sometimes when the location opens, it makes sense to meet more frequently. And then as, the relationship is built, to revisit the cadence of the meetings.
So is this something that's currently ongoing at the other Catholic charity sites? Cabs?
So we have what we call community meetings, and that's primarily for our residents. We do have communication with individuals in the community because part of what we do is we rent up a lot of apartments, particularly in Staten Island, the Bronx, and Brooklyn, actually about a couple hundred. So we have extensive contact with property management companies, landlords. We get to know other residents in our buildings that we live in. So that makes for a better relationship long-term by knowing who the players are.
Question is just if a community board 3 member could be present at the cab for this site, if that's something, well, first to establish that cabs are sort of a practice that Catholic Charities already has. So I guess I wanted to see if it can, long term always be a community board member, let's say, and I volunteer myself, yes, to sit on the cab, to be an informative voice, so that was why I asked the question. It seems like
all I can tell you is we're going to welcome whatever feedback we can get, and if you're someone who wants to participate in that, we would be, I always think we have as much to learn from the community as we want to give back to the community. So anything that's going to help us be a good neighbor, I'm all in for it. So we'll take our direction also from DHS about how it can be structured, because our relationship with DHS is, in this sense, is new, but I think it's a partnership all around.
Great. It's got 2 quick follow-up questions to that. The medical team subcontractor you'll have you considered, or do you have in mind already a local medical provider? I know Gouverneur is not too far from that location at 47 Madison. Full disclosure, speaking of cabs, I'm on the cab of the Gouverneur. But has any talks or what are thoughts about that?
So that at this stage for us, it's a bit premature, but again, we're going to welcome some ideas here. We know of some providers that offer these services at various shelters throughout New York City. And I think part of, for us, again, when I share that there's much for us to learn, there's a learning curve here too. We want to know what kind of services we can get, and quite honestly, for what price and what would be in the best interest of the residents. So yes, I don't think anything on that front is off the table.
Okay, all right. And then lastly is just Haven Plaza on Avenue C and 12th Street, I believe, in the Lower East Side. Is that also Catholic Charities and part of this programming that you provide? The word
Haven Plaza is one of the projects that's within Catholic Homes New York.
Okay, and there's no Haven beds on that. It's just called Haven Plaza. It's right? Or am I got that wrong?
No, I think that's the street name, but
that's the project. You're right. It has nothing to do with.
It's the
okay.
place
Thanks
name,
for clarifying that. Okay.
Yeah, it's the place name up there, but Eric, about the cabs, I think Catholic Homes operates different kind. When he was talking about residents, I think he's calling all kinds of residences that may not even be for homeless, maybe for other people. But the cab that everyone is talking about is more of a cab that DHS establishes, and then the community board. I mean, there's a cab at like 3rd Street Men's Shelter, at the Catherine Street Shelter, and then I think I don't know, that's like another cab. And CB3 has a seat at those cabs, as well as, other stakeholders or members. I mean, I don't know if it's open to the public or just to those members, but, if you're volunteering when this gets set up, then, that would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Susan Stetzer.
Okay, I also just wanted to clarify on the cabs. All the DHS shelters we work with do have cabs, and CB3 has official members, and all of them, the public is invited. They've always been open. And I'll say, as far as other non-DHS or other safe havens, everybody has always been very responsive to having meetings as necessary when requested. And we generally work closely with the shelters. Like we're working with Catherine, Third Street is actually jointly with Kenton Hall. And right now we're working on setting up a date. They're all very collaborative in working with us.
And what I'll say is, that's the goal. What we recognize as an agency and working with our providers is that when we have that collaborative relationship with stakeholders in the community, whether they be business owners, parents from local schools, residents, tenant leaders, members of the community board, that different point of view from the neighborhood and experience in the neighborhood is what makes the cabs very successful, being able to troubleshoot, address problems, and also look for opportunities for partnership to support the locations and the individuals who are being sheltered there as well.
All right, Alicia.
Hey, thank you so much for this great presentation. My question is, we have a population of young people that are aging out of foster care system. And I'm not really sure what the criteria is for placement. And I do know you mentioned something in the beginning, and I know that there are, long-term care, and I love the broad span of criteria. I just want to make sure that we are inclusive of the young people that are aging out of foster care, and making sure that there's a placement at least for 2% of them in this development, because this is a great opportunity to keep our young people in the same community. Thank you very much.
So if I can just respond, thank you for the question. ACS is not allowed to discharge from foster care into shelter. Safe havens are a type of shelter, and therefore that discharge location, a young person wouldn't sort of meet the qualifying requirements for discharge. But what I can say is we just worked with the council to pass a bill in regards to the city of FHEP's rental assistance that would make time spent in foster care count towards the eligibility for that rental assistance voucher, so long as the individual meets the other eligibility criteria. Would be happy to get back to you. I can connect you with my colleagues at ACS for more information about the types of locations that young people are discharged to, but this would not be suitable because it is considered shelter, and ACS is not allowed to discharge young people from foster care to shelter. But again, there are other resources available, the City of FHEP's rental assistance voucher that I just mentioned, and certainly happy to connect you with colleagues at ACS if you'd like to hear more about their work.
Thank you so much, Erin.
My pleasure.
Does anyone else have any questions? Hey, Laura, did you have your hand up?
No, I was applauding.
Okay.
Paulina has her hand up. Well, her actual hand.
Paulina? You mean Paulina from Transfiguration?
Hi, sorry, everyone.
Oh, hi.
I had a traffic issue. I'm late. I just have one quick question. I know I walk into a meeting and halfway. I don't know this question is relevant or suitable for this situation. And is anybody already mentioned that there was kind of community unrest issue about this situation, 47 Madison, as well as 91 East Broadway, for this safe haven project from the community. They are not happy. So my question is, how do we notify the neighborhood people, the stakeholders, like business owners around, including our school, to get them on board with this?
Thank you for the question. And we are aware that there have been some protests, and I know that Susan has said that the community board has received emails. The agency has agreed to meet with some of the stakeholders to be able to provide some more information. Our typical notification process is that once we have a rated and approved RFP, we make notification calls to our local elected officials and the community board. And then generally, or typically, we work with the community board to set up meetings either through the community board or invitation to other stakeholders who might not regularly attend the community board meeting. So we see the attendance of the meeting. Oh, sorry, we see the attendance of the meeting that we've been invited to meet with some of these business stakeholders as part of that process. We're always ready and willing to sit down with individuals so we can share information about the project. I think what I've learned in the 7 years that I've been doing this is that getting information out to communities is so important. We want to make sure that we're dispelling myths about our clients. There's a lot of times fear is the most common response when we talk about citing homeless shelters, and we want to provide information so that way people can sort of move through that fear and get a better understanding of the type of program that will be offered at any location and have the opportunity really to meet with the service provider, because that's who the relationship's ultimately going to be with. Myself, my colleague Shane Cox, who's on the line, and Leilani Irving, we all work for the agency, but it's Catholic Homes who's going to be on the ground doing this work with their teams, making those connections with local businesses. And so we also look to you. If there's an organization or a group that we should be meeting with, please let us know so we can make those connections. That's the way that we're going to get that information out. We know that a lot of communities don't come to the community board meetings, and we want to make sure that we're doing that outreach. And I'll say that for the meeting that we intend to have with some of the business owners, we've been working to ensure that there's appropriate translation services. We recognize that that's also very important in making sure that we're getting the information to the community.
Thank you, Erin.
So Paulina, we've been all reading the same news and all that, and I know it's like, your church, right, is selling this building to have this facility. So it would be, so you must think there must be some value in it. Otherwise you would not do it, I would imagine. So if you could, help dispel the myths, or maybe there's some sort of messaging that's needed, particularly for this community. I think it would be, all hands are needed in this effort. But I also want to say to DHS that responding to all these groups and to Catholic Charities is really important. It may not seem that important, but they may just be one group. But they have they really sway community opinion. Everything they do is in the ethnic language media, and that's the reliable source of information for our community members. So what they say and do goes beyond what you think it is. And I'm sure that any immigrant community will tell you the ethnic language media is an important outlet for any kind of community education.
Absolutely. We couldn't agree more. And let me just say that in our mind, there's no stakeholder that's not important enough to meet with. It's really the connections that we're making, business by business, person by person, to really change hearts and minds in the way that the city is addressing the homelessness crisis. So, you have my commitment. We will have the meetings. We want to make those productive meetings and useful for everyone's time, but we want to get that information out there, beneficial to everyone.
Okay. Thank you for me and Erin. The concern is we, as a Catholic Church, and we are being respected in the community, and to me, to help the homeless is a great, is a very ideal Catholic thing to do. About just to explain for benefit wise, because right now we just rented it, we are totally have no issue, trouble free, which for us we're still reaping, a benefit of renting the place to the community or not sell for this project. And there is sacrifices for us to have to face our parishioner, our congregation, and our school parents. And they're very concerned. So we are the one that in the front line to deal with them, because it's like our fault, they said, because we agreed to this, or we're in the process of doing that. So to educate ourselves first, to understand how to help the people understand this is a good thing for the neighborhood. They don't have to be fear. And also depends on how this project going to run in the future. Because this immigrant community, they're more of the quiet and laid back type, okay? There's not stereotyping. They just want to make a good living, and they want to do their work, and they want to feel safe. And I think most important thing is we need to learn how to teach them, or not teaching them, share with them, this is not something bad. And I think we need to do a lot more reaching out, because the past couple of weeks or month, I hear things since the last get together with many of you. And if it concerns me, because they're really afraid. So we need to address that. So I like to reach out for informations and what can I do to help people at the church level. And also, we will have our own parish council meeting and staff meetings to discuss that, to educate our own people. Then we could put this message out there in a positive way.
Thank you for that. We'll certainly follow up and take you up on that.
Yeah, so that definitely sounds like a plan. Okay, so we have first Jerry Carter, and then Eric Diaz, and then Susan Stetzer. Jerry?
Yes, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, how you doing? My question is, what made you choose a location for a program like this? The location that you chose. What made you choose the location that you chose for a program like this?
So part of what's required in our RFP, which is the response that a nonprofit provider will submit, is that they have to demonstrate site control. We, as an agency, and quite frankly, as a city, back in 2019, when there were the tragic murders that occurred in Chinatown of a number of homeless men, we made a commitment in response to asks from the community, the local council member at the time, to really work to open the stabilization or safe haven capacity in this district. We also were working with Catholic Charities, who was a willing partner with us to really step up to the plate and look at what resources could they bring to the table to address this. And that's how we arrived with this location and this proposal. I don't know if anybody from the provider side wants to add anything, but certainly feel free to jump in.
Sure. I would note that the mayor at the time also, Aaron, you'll know this better than I probably, but the mayor called on faith-based organizations to identify land that they could develop for this very worthy purpose. And Catholic Charities considered a few different properties, and this was a property based on what you just described that folks were really interested in developing. So there is some history there on our participation.
Just to add one more, and I'll be done. So this might sound rude, and I do not want to come off rude, obnoxious, or selfish at this moment. It was stated that the young lady stated that it was a slew of homeless robberies in Chinatown, or deaths in Chinatown, but this been happening all over the Lower East Side. So again, what made you choose this location?
Yeah, so to just put a more fine point on it, it was, like Harold said, there was a call that the mayor had made, really calling upon faith-based institutions to look at their property holdings to determine if anything would be suitable for bringing on these safe haven or stabilization beds. From the agency point of view, these beds are critically important to the work that we're doing in terms of addressing the street homeless population. As was talked about in the presentation, these are low threshold beds, they're smaller capacity rooms. So in our congregate shelter system, individuals are typically housed, anywhere from 6 to 20 people in a dorm. These are smaller rooms, anywhere from 1 to 3 persons. There's a different staffing model, social services on site that are a bit more intensive than a traditional shelter, also because of the size of the location. So this will be 40, I believe, 3 beds, but the development team can correct me if I've got that off by a couple.
49.
49, sorry about that.
That's okay.
49 beds, so it's a smaller facility, really working to help these individuals as they progress back to independent living. So it was a combination of need of these types of beds, period. And we're opening, hundreds of them across the city. And then the, call from two faith-based institutions and the response from Catholic Charities here.
Okay, can I get a an email of this presentation to my email? Can I?
The
Copy.
presentation that was shared by Susan? That
No, this
presentation?
right now. This right now.
Yeah,
This is going
The
to be on
recording, you mean?
the board website.
Yes, this recording. Yes.
I
It'll
think
be
it's
on
on
the,
the community board website, but Susan, correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah, it'll be on by tomorrow by early afternoon. It'll be on the community board website. If you can't find it, please let me know. I'll give you the link.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Okay, the next person will be Eric Diaz. We cannot hear you, Eric.
Sorry, guys, I gotta talk. I apologize. Quick question. It's what is the qualifying age again to apply for the safe haven bed, and is there an age limit?
We're going to admit folks who are 18 and older, and there is no limit on the upper end.
And this is Shane from the street. I mean, just to reiterate, I mean, the focus really is for these to be street homeless individuals and individuals who are some of the most vulnerable individuals who are on the street right now. So that's why the referrals come through the outreach teams or DHS. These individuals who the teams have been working with for a very long time and know them to be very vulnerable and in need of a place to go to flourish. And so, as everybody said, having these sites, and a lot of people want to stick to their neighborhood, stick to the general area, stick to the borough, and we really have a need in this area, and we think this is going to be a really effective tool. So it's really for street homeless individuals, 18 and over, and there is no limit. There's no
upper limit, right?
upper limit. Yes, sorry, yes.
Okay. Susan Stetzer.
I think I just feel the need to kind of reiterate from the community board end that we work really closely with the street homeless outreach, and because of our constant relationship and what we hear from them, we have been asking for more safe havens, because that seems to be the best way to be able to have people who are on the street without homes accept services. And I think it's almost universally accepted that everybody agrees that that seems to be the most effective way. The board also worked with DHS and the mayor's office after the murders in Chinatown. And, we participated in asking for these services for the street homeless. So I just want to say that we are very much part of that. Thank you.
And if I can just add, Susan, so one of the things that the agency, really is mindful of is making sure that the beds are in areas where we know that people are bedding down, because we know that that will often lead to a positive acceptance to come inside. And so the agency really is looking for locations where we know that there are active street homeless populations to be able to have those safe haven and stabilization beds nearby to them.
Okay. I don't see any hands raised right now. Are there any more questions? Okay, I guess, yeah, I don't see any other hands raised right now. So I don't know if people are still thinking, or, or we are done with questions from this group. Well, it looks like we are done with questions from this group. Okay, so
thanks everyone for your time this evening. We really appreciate you tuning in to learn more about the project, and we'll follow up with folks about additional conversations.
And thanks for the opportunity to present to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good
Okay.
night.
All right, have a good
Okay.
night. Okay, bye.
okay, thank you for coming.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, committee. Since we are done here with that agenda item, we are, I guess, on to CAB or CEC reports. Or did anyone have any other, comments on follow-ups we should do regarding the previous item? Look at the
Follow up as far as the amount of outreach that we need to do?
No, just it's just a general question, that's all. Okay, well, if you don't have anything right now, I mean, we can, we can always email.
Thing.
Yeah.
We've had so much negative response to the safe havens, and these are really a great model. These are great facilities. These are not just shelters, just a place to sleep. These are really great, amazing services. And I don't know if it would be possible to do plan a town hall with the ones that are coming into the community as a group, to have people be able to come in, make comment, and really learn more about the facilities and connect with the websites and understand what's coming in. I think dispelling a lot of the myths and the misinformation will go a lot farther to the acceptance of the facilities.
Well, okay, so Larissa, right? Actually, there is a meeting being planned, as Erin mentioned. It was supposed to be next week, but it looks like it's going to be postponed to a little bit later, or maybe in January, where community stakeholders will have a chance to meet directly with the providers and with DHS. I think that's more what they want right now. So it'll be like a smaller, more, kind of, well, it can be bigger, but it'll be more like a, direct meeting where they get a seat at the table and they get to ask their questions. And DHS and the providers. So this is around 91 East Broadway. That is specific to that. And then DHS and the providers can also, give the, dispel a lot of myths and give the correct information, because there is a lot of misinformation going on as well. I recall that when we were discussing remember a long time ago when we spent that meeting discussing our goals for, one of the goals was that, one day we would have a panel, and we do those panels every year about, that for our district needs, a panel of providers. And we did say that our next panel should be about the issue of homelessness. I mean, this was all before these safe havens even came up, but that may still be relevant. So it's not just specific to the safe haven, but more like, service providers who are providing services to the homeless.
Yeah,
do you remember all that?
The negative, I think of all in light.
Yeah,
of
so it's not
information,
just
I
right.
think
So
that
it's not just
panel
street
is more important
homelessness.
than ever.
Yeah. So that wasn't just about street homelessness, I think, but as I recall. So we can still do that. And then, that's still on, all right.
Hey, Susan,
Heidi, do you have your hand raised, Heidi?
I do, but Susan was first.
Okay, Susan.
Okay, I just wanted to, I was going to say pretty much the same thing as May to Larissa. We have been working on this constantly, and the groups that are concerned really do want their own presentations. We have been involved, and very much Margaret's office, in connecting these groups to the providers and to DHS. And I think everybody is, that has shown concern is very much being addressed. We did get some letters at the office of concern, and we did respond immediately by introducing and connecting them. So I think everybody is getting what they need in the best possible setting.
Heidi?
And I would add that just as someone who used to work there at DHS, whenever you go to a town hall, it's nothing but a spew the rage fest. It's not productive. People's minds are not changed. I think kind of what Susan mentioned before is these smaller group meetings where there's someone in the room who has influence and sway on the other people who are in the room. So meaning if someone comes there and they're skeptical and they're not sure, they don't know that that's the space and their influence, almost like social media, you got your influencers, right? Rather than a town hall where really just people yell and it's just chaos. And even on, the DHS side, it's just not, I don't think it's a good use of their time. They get really defensive from the very beginning. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that. I do think that DHS, definitely has to more than, saying to these groups, yes, we'll rely on you to do the work. They need to be good partners with those people. I'm not always sure how, it depends on which group they're working with, but they do need to definitely address everyone's concerns. And, I think even the answer that they gave about how do you pick a place, the RFP, there's still these things unsaid about the person who said that, Mr. Carter, it's these emotional things. It's not always the fact-based things that will actually address and change people's minds. It's also a very emotional thing. And then on the flip side of that too, the 91 Madison, it's so much larger, the 200 people one, like a 47 bed one or 49 bed safe haven is so much more manageable, I think, for the community. And the community, that should be something too we should be saying out there. And they should be, I guess they shouldn't be saying it because they want sites, but it's much more manageable.
And you know what I just realized in terms of messaging, and maybe to clarify, because Erin just said they're trying to get away from these hotels, right? But yes, this is this is more for the public maybe, or for people who they can do it at that meeting, the 91 East Broadway was a hotel. So how is that different from getting away from these hotels that she just talked about?
It's different.
They can talk about it later. I know how it's different, but I just realized that somebody got to talk about that later. Okay, Paul.
May, so just thinking into the future, what is the plan for next month? Is there a plan for next month? Is anybody coming back in January? Is there a potential resolution that's going to come up about this? I know today was a presentation, and Susan and I spoke briefly before the meeting, so I just wanted to know what the next steps are for human services come January.
Just speaking to this, well, it's two different things, right? 47 Madison Street, and it was two different projects, and 91 East Broadway. I don't know what's going to happen after this. After the last meeting is when all hell broke loose, right? About 91 East Broadway. But, one of the things I know at the last meeting, many people, the committee members, liked what they heard. It's part of what we've always said that we needed in the community. And, there was this you know, our neighborhood, you know, the organization AFI was also involved, and there was this like set of services for the Chinese community, which is really new and unique. But we can maybe see what is needed if we want. We don't need to write a letter of support, and maybe I should distinguish a little bit, you know, what a letter of support is. So we have done many letters of support, you know, in this committee. But it is usually for, you know, a letter of support for specific projects or specific programs. But it is always for a program that is requesting it from us. And usually it's for, say, a grant application. They're applying for funding from the state, from a private foundation, and they need a letter of support to supplement their application to show that the community board supports them. Or sometimes it's for permission. Like, so two examples are, so one example is that the one that the move to 33 East Broadway, the Lower East Side Harm Reduction Center, you know, they're applying for the state grant for their Medicaid program, and they needed our letter of support. If they don't get the money, they're not going to do the program. Or like that school that wanted to move into, you know, from, was it the ice school that wanted to move in the other building downtown, you know, they need to get permission from DOE, but they want, you know, to show that, you know, the community board, they're asking us for support so that they can at least show that to DOE. So that's what a letter of support is. So in this case, it looks like they're going to get the contract. They're well on their way to getting it, you know, and so they don't need that. But if it's helpful to them, we could say provide like a letter of appreciation. You know, I'm talking about 91 East Broadway right now, okay? For the fact that they're providing these services in this way, and you know, it's something that we say we really need. So you know, it's something we could write down. Maybe we could even, you know, vote on it, and you know, so
Right.
it would be like that.
Okay,
So that's a possibility.
I just wanted to see what the future would be. I don't know if
Right.
Susan wanted to chime in. Susan, did you want to say something?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's political also. And,
Okay.
you know, I think we need to understand what the needs of the provider is. We're speaking to AFI pretty much every day. And, you know, I think right now we have to let them meet with the groups that are, you know, the community groups. I think the distinction May made is very important, because in this case where you have people who do not want this facility, and we have to be in a position where we're also listening to their concerns. And by writing a letter of appreciation for the program, we're still listening to people's concerns while we're supporting the kind of program that we want here. So, you know, it seems like just kind of from a political standpoint, if we do that, and if the organizations think it would be helpful, it seems like it would be much better to do what go along with what the committee had suggested last month, you know, to be looking at the type of programming and saying, this is the kind of programming we want. I mean, we've already gone on record saying we want safe havens.
Right.
And there is not, I think the city does not want a precedent of coming to community board to say, do you want it or do you not want it? Because we know what would happen with most of the 59 boards. So I mean,
go ahead.
now I was going to say it's a good possibility, but maybe we should kind of see what's needed.
Okay, so it's a wait and see approach until they ask formally to what we would like, what they would like from us.
We are in touch with them, and you know, we don't have to wait and see, you know, but we should see if that's what they need the most, or if there's something else they need.
Copy.
Because it is very political, as Susan says.
No, I've seen the emails.
And if you read the Chinese language press, you'll see a lot more. So
thanks, man.
Okay. All right, so I think our next agenda item is just CAB or CEC reports. Has anyone been to a CAB meeting or CEC meeting? No?
The Gouverneur Cab will meet Monday. So, report yet.
Okay. And Shirley, are you here? Ms. Fennessy?
I'm here. There was no CAB meeting for MSBI.
Oh, okay. I see Tati is here, although she's visiting.
No, this is my final meeting. So I just wanted to come on to the committee meeting and yeah, say hi and bye.
Okay.
Not really bye, but you know.
Okay. All right. And okay. So
Third Street and Kenton Hall is setting one up for meeting for January.
okay. And Catherine Street hasn't done anything in a while, right?
They haven't, and there hasn't been a word of any issues. I mean, if you want, I can ask them to set up a meeting. But things have been very, very quiet. And you know, the facility was empty for a long time.
Oh,
because it was kind of, they vacated all congregate shelters.
oh, okay, okay. But they're back there now, right?
They should be back. They should be back there now.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so I guess we don't have anything in the way of CAB and CEC meetings. Is there any new or old business to discuss or any questions? Maybe about, you know, anything for that you want to put on the agenda for next month? Our next meeting will be in January. Any announcements? No announcements? Okay.
I want to remind everyone about the Christmas party, the holiday party. Please.
Yes, very few people have RSVP'd.
I know. What's up with that?
Well, I RSVP'd.
May was the first person. And probably the only person on this call that has done so.
Right now.
Thank you. And don't forget about the staff contributions.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Okay, so yeah, so I guess we will call the attendance for the last vote, the vote to adjourn. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
May I make
I
a
motion to adjourn.
Okay, somebody
Yeah,
want to second it?
Call the attendance before the.
Okay. Heidi?
Okay, Maylee,
Yes, here.
Thomas Rosa,
Yes.
Larissa Scheinberg,
Yes.
David Crane,
Yes.
Eric Diaz. Eric Diaz, you still there?
Yes, yes. Can you
All
hear me?
right.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now. Shirley Fennessy,
Yes.
Deborah Jeffries Glass.
Oh, she's not here.
So do I count Tatiana now?
Well, it doesn't matter. You count her. or
Doesn't
not.
really
I mean,
matter, but
it
yeah,
doesn't matter
I'm
either
here.
way. I mean, in terms of attendance, no one's gonna ever like, you know.
I don't think we're going to be sending her a letter.
She's off the board after this meeting, so yes, you can count her attendance right now.
Okay.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yes.
All right, Laura Lugo.
Because I noticed her name was off the website. That's why I said that.
Well, Tatiana, we will miss you. Thanks for being there for so long.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
You did a lot.
Are you gonna do the party, Tati, or you'll be gone by then?
I'm not sure when the party is. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Okay,
but
it's
I don't
December
remember.
22.
December 22nd. I won't be around.
Okay.
Fortunately.
Okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted Heidi. She was doing the attendance.
Bye,
All right.
Tati. Bye.
Paul Rangel. Paul Rangel, I see you. Right up
I'm
there.
technically not supposed to be on the attendance screen. So
Oh, I will delete you.
just cross me off there.
Heidi Schmidt, yes. Ricky Wong, absent, and Carmen Perez.
Here, present.
All right, great. That's it.
Okay, so that ends our meeting, and please sign up for the party. And the